Okay, what I'm going to be tying is a white wollybugger with a copper bead. This is a great fly for trout, and it's a size 10 barbless hook. And what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be tying some woollybuggers to take to Pass Lake in Washington, where it's fly fishing only, and there's a lot of big brown trout, a lot of big rainbow trout. So yeah, so I'm using brown thread. And just gonna start off by anchoring it on there. Wrap all the way to the back. And you're gonna get your marabou. I just got some white marabou. Get you off a strand of it somehow. There we go. You have a strand, and some people, they'll pull it back like this and tie it on that way, which works, but I like to save material. So what I'll do is I'll take a chunk out of the side, rip it off, and then use that as my tail. So I can make 2 to 3 flies out of one thing of marabou, and there's a lot less to waste. So get it on there the best you can. Do some wraps. And sometimes the marabou spins on you, and what you want to do to stop that is if you pull the tail up, tie it to the hook without the tail, and that will help it from spinning. And also, if you take the front, cut off the excess, and then find the hook and actually tie your thread onto the hook, it will keep it from spinning. Lot better. Okay, after you got your marabou on, you're gonna rip off the tail to the length you want, and usually it's just the length of the hook. So guesstimate, oh, it's about the length of the hook, and then boom, all you gotta do is just pinch it and pull it, and it's gonna give you a nice fluffy tail. So after that, you're gonna put the copper wire on. I'm gonna use copper wire, so whenever I put the this is just small copper wire, but I use the copper wire so that whenever I put the hackle over the top of it at the very end, I can keep the hackle down using the copper wire. And then I really like using yarn because it's really cheap. I got this whole thing, big old thing, for $3.99. It takes a lot of, you make a lot of flies, but the yarn's usually pretty thick. And what I like to do is, depending on what fly I'm tying, I'll actually like split it in half and just use like 2 strands of the yarn instead of all 4 of it, all 4 strands. So with this, if you tie it down in the back, it's gonna bunch up in the back. So what you want to do is you want to lay it up over the whole thing, so it gives you a little bit bigger body, but that's fine. Tie it down. Like so. And the thing about using yarn is if you just wrap it like this, it has a chance of sliding back and forth and not really staying where you want it, which the copper wire at the end will help with that. But what I like to do is to put some glue down, some head cement down on the body. That way whenever you wrap your yarn over, it acts like glue and it sticks it down so it doesn't slide on you. Once it sets up, obviously. Yeah. Then you're just gonna wrap, covering the whole hook all the way up to your bead head. And this is a tungsten copper bead head, by the way. Extra heavy. You do 5 wraps like that, then pull it back. Do another 5 or so. Just like that. Cut off the excess. Cool. Next step is to get your hackle, your grizzly hackle or whatever kind of hackle you want. I use grizzly because I've caught more fish than using any other type of hackle. So I usually stick with that one. And I already got a piece out right here. What I do is I'll cut it back here, rip off some the feathers so that you got a nice spot to tie your thread to. And try not to break your thread. Okay, back in business. Okay, you're gonna take your hackle, put it on there, tie it down without breaking your thread. Then you're gonna do a couple wraps towards the front of it, give it a nice head, and then you're gonna wrap on back. Once you run out of room, you hold on to it. Ooh, that doesn't look good. Take two. There, that looks better. You take your copper wire and you're going to glue down your grizzly hackle using the copper wire, just fishing it through the hackle sticking up, trying to evenly space out each wrap, and that keeps the hackle down. And also, if you end up catching like 10 fish or so, that hackle starts to break on you, and if a strand breaks, like the main part of the feather, the copper's holding it down so it won't completely fall apart, so you can keep fishing with it. As you wrap 5 or 6 that way, then pull everything back, give, I don't know, 10 or so wraps that way, and then don't just cut your copper, especially when you get the bigger sizes. If you cut the copper, it makes it sharp and it'll break your thread, which I tend to do that anyways. But if you bend it back on itself a few times like that, it weakens right where you tied it down. And then if you do like a little helicopter, it comes right off. You don't have to worry about your thread getting cut whenever you're finishing your fly. And then we're done. So you just do a couple half hitches as you do, I don't know, 4 or 5 half hitches. There's 5, boom, and you are done. Cut your thread off. And be sure you cut tip of your grizzly hackle off. Boom, and it's done. Got yourself a woolly bugger. Just the last step is to put some head cement, some fly cement on the end of the thread where you just made all those half hitches. It just keeps it from falling apart. I usually put a big old glob on there and it kind of wraps around, and whenever you put that glob on there, don't touch your fly too much, because then you'll get the hackle fibers all goopy and stuff, and then it just doesn't look good and it doesn't fish very well. So yeah, and then we're done. Nice copper bead white woolly bugger. It's a great fly. Use it in rivers, lakes. I'm taking this specific one, barbless hook, to Pass Lake in Washington. Cool. If you have any questions, leave a comment, and appreciate you watching. Hopefully you learned something.